Hi everyone, Stacy Whiter here on behalf of Campus Mortgage with part two of this three-part video series on the redesigned Uniform Residential Loan Application. Now just a quick reminder before we get started, this video is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal advice or used in place of the CFPB or Fannie Mae guidelines. Also, this video was issued on November 28, 2017, and the information contained in this video is subject to change without notice. So as we've already reviewed, the new 1003 is currently not in use, and it will be required to be used by all lenders in July of 2019. Let's go ahead now and take a look at the new redesigned form. So what we're looking at right now is the static version of the redesigned form. What I mean by the static version is it's not fillable. But I thought it would be easier to just show this to you first before we look at the fillable version. The first thing that you may notice is that the look and kind of feel of this new form is very similar to the closing disclosure and the loan estimate that we're currently using. You can see the tabs here at the top, which differentiate the sections. Also, at first glance, you'll notice it does look a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier to read. You can see here at the top, we do start with the borrower information just like we do now. The type of credit that they're applying for, all of their personal information, their marital status, their addresses. One thing that I noticed quickly when I looked at this is it does certainly make the address easier to understand that lenders need a 2-year history. So it does clearly spell out here, the current address. If you've been there for less than 2 years, then certainly put in the former address. There's a section for military service. And then you'll see down here, this is the new section that was sanctioned by the CFPB, is the language preference. So there's a whole section here at the bottom where the borrower can choose what language they prefer. Now moving on to page 2, this is where we get into the current employment information, and it clearly spells out, is this current employment or self-employment income? They would enter their information here. Again, it clearly states here that if it's less than 2 years, you have to provide previous, and then the section for other income sources. You'll also probably notice at the bottom of each section, there is a place for the borrower to sign or put the borrower's name. Now on page 3, we have the financial information where they'll fill in their assets and liabilities. Again, it's just a little bit cleaner and easier to read. Next page is for financial information, any real estate owned, very clearly lets them list out all of their, any other properties that they have, what the value is, the mortgage amount, the taxes. Again, it's just a little bit cleaner and easier to read. The next section is for loan and property information. So what's the purpose of the loan? How are they using it? Any other mortgage information, rental income, and then they've even added a section for gifts and grants that you have been given, so down payment, closing costs, things like that. The next page by itself is just for declarations, so it certainly makes it easier to read this information. Then we have section 6, which is acknowledgments and agreements. And then we have the section 7, which we're all using now, which is the demographic information. But now you'll see at the bottom, it also includes section 8 for the loan originator information, which will be clearly entered into this area. Next, this next form would only be used if there are additional borrowers. But you'll notice here, we really went from basically 4 to 5 pages at most to already up to 8 pages. So they are definitely increasing the length of the 1003, but again, that's in an effort to add more information and to make it cleaner and easier to read. So if there's no additional borrower, it's only one borrower, obviously these sections would be skipped, but then you can see here, if there is a co-borrower or co-borrowers, they're going to fill out the same information. As on the first pages, the look is a little bit different, but it's still collecting all of the same information. Now, there is also something new called the Uniform Residential Loan Application Unmarried Addendum. This would be if they would fill out if they're married or unmarried. And then this is where it differentiates the borrower information very clearly from the lender information. So this whole page right here will be filled out by the lender, which has all of their information, as well as the mortgage loan originator, the MLO information as well. Now, here is where it goes into the qualifying of the borrower. So this is more like the details of transaction, what it will look like on the new form. So it's going to show the overall numbers, how much money they have to bring to closing. It also now has a section for homeownership education and counseling requirements. And then certainly a continuation sheet for everything that would go beyond. And again, another demographic information addendum if there are additional borrowers. All right, so that concludes part 2 of this 3-part video series. Thanks so much for watching. In the next video, we'll go into a little bit more detail. But for more tips and videos, please visit campusmortgage.org to look for their weekly mortgage video tips designed for all mortgage professionals, including underwriters, loan officers, processors, closers, and post-closers. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.